Kendrick just opened his mouth, and I'm about to listen to it right now. GNX, the newest album from Kendrick Lamar. It just dropped today out of nowhere. I just released my new Music Friday TikTok that I'm doing every week on there. Go follow me at CDTVProductions, and I posted it. As I was making it and posting it, this album dropped, and I didn't include it in there because I didn't know it was out. Turns out that it is, and I knew that I had to hop on here immediately to react to this and see what's going on. I'm just very excited to see what we've got going on, curious to see where this goes post-Drake beef. I don't expect it to reference it all that much personally. We got 12 songs, almost 45 minutes in length. I wasn't actually sure on what GNX meant, so I looked it up, and apparently it's a Buick, a type of car, and I'm assuming that would be the one on the cover that Kendrick is standing in front of. Really no clue what we're gonna get on here, but I do hope that it's a pretty fun project. Track number 1 on GNX. This is Whacked Out Murals. Okay.
Yesterday somebody whacked out my mural.
Oh.
The energy will make you niggas move to Europe. It used to be fuck that nigga, but now it's plural. Fuck everybody. I made the
censored line.
No, you a god, even when they say you ain't. Yeah,
it's just gonna be an album that goes hard, has that West Coast feeling, right?
I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Whatever.
Oh.
Call me crazy, everybody questionable. New posted, tailor made. I prayed it was the edibles. I couldn't believe this is not for lyricists. I swear it's not the sentiments. Fuck a double entendre. I want y'all to feel this shit. They like that big trip, and I just want what I deserve. What bridge they done burned? Since y'all pandering to choose a side, let me do it for you. Okay, fuck your hip hop. I watch the party just die. Niggas
nice.
And fuck anybody empathetic to the other side, I vow. A bitch nigga love bitch niggas that exist with them in style. You ever ate Captain Crunch and proceeded to pour water in it, pulled over by the law?
That just reminds me of Kendrick talking about the perfect ratio of milk to cereal. He doesn't play about that. What a great start, man. I think it was exactly as impactful as it needed to be. I love the way this just steadily built up as the track went on. Pretty much just Kendrick giving an overview of everything that's been going on around the beef and sort of lead, from the beef to this album. Mentioned somebody vandalizing his mural in Compton after the Drake beef. A couple censored bars on here, which I'm not sure exactly what they were referring to, but I'll come back to it and see if I can figure that out. Addressed Lil Wayne and kind of the whole Super Bowl situation a little bit, saying Snoop Dogg posted the tailor-made freestyle by Drake, and Kendrick was saying he hoped it was the edibles that made him do it. It's a setup that has me really excited for the rest of the album, because it does feel right now like this will be something different to Mr. Morale, which again, I think Mr. Morale is a very well-made album. It's just a bit of a tricky, conflicting listen for me. It's exciting already. I think this is a fantastic setup for the album. What more can I say? We're off to a good start right here. Track number 2, Squabble Up. Oh, this is what was at the start of this? Was the snippet at the start of Not Like Us?
Looking for the broccoli, high key, keep a horn on me, that could my seat.
Okay.
Buddy pass, but I give him splash till he hydrated. Down south, no he spook town, eyes dilated. I feel good, get the fuck out my thighs. Look good, but she don't got no ties. I walk through this turf and get cracking, double back like a deluxe. Deep, but it ain't deep enough. I feel good, get the fuck out my thighs. Look good.
That chorus, man. Kendrick is really goofy when he wants to be.
Squabble up, squabble up.
This beat is lovely.
Bitch, I'm finna go dumb.
Hey.
Sideways. It was wolf tickets on sale till I silenced it. Pipe down, young, these some whole other politics. Tell me why the fuck you niggas rap if it's fictional. Tell me why the fuck you niggas fed if you criminal. It's a full moon, let the wolves out, I've been a dog. I feel good, squabble up, squabble up.
Squabble Up was pretty great, but I thought Reincarnated would be the track where he says I'm reincarnated at the start, but turns out it was Squabble Up, and this was just an extremely fun West Coast style banger. It's interesting because Not Like Us, it was the biggest song from the entire Drake and Kendrick beef, but it didn't necessarily feel like the most significant one, if that makes sense. Like Euphoria was the one that started it, Meet the Grahams was the darkest one, and then Not Like Us just felt like Kendrick doubling down. It felt like a little bonus fuck you to Drake. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's interesting. It feels like Not Like Us has influenced the direction of this album more than any of the other disses have, with this having more of that traditional West Coast sound and Kendrick just having a lot of fun on here. And honestly, This is what I want to hear from this. I'm really happy with this. I think Squabble Up was great. It had really nice production. There were so many just nice, interesting, bubbly sounds in there that really helped to make it very fun. So track number 3, Luther.
Hey, Roman numeral 7, babe, drop it like it's hot.
Okay, we got him going a little bit smoother. We got Loverboy Kendrick on here. I don't know if it will, and I don't think it will, but I'm just saying, Baby Keem feature on here would go crazy.
It's a vibe, do your dance, let 'em watch, she a fan.
This world, concrete flowers grow.
Ooh, SZA. Okay.
If it was up to me, I wouldn't give it nobody's no sympathy.
And then Kendrick and SZA duetting on that part.
Slow, maybe you would stop, strike, go. This world, concrete flowers grow. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give it no.
I was not expecting something this beautiful after the last track.
I might even settle down for you, I'ma show you I'm a pro, I'ma take my time.
Luther was amazing. Wow. I can't put every track on the favorites list, Kendrick. Luther was just this absolutely beautiful, luscious track built off of strings and a nice smooth sound with Kendrick going melodic on it, and it featured SZA, which I think was very, very necessary to this track. Her and Kendrick, the parts where their vocals were synchronized, they were harmonizing together, that sounded absolutely wonderful. I'm not always the biggest fan of when Kendrick makes more cutesy songs, if that makes sense. Ones where he's going for a bit more of his nasally melodic voice, it doesn't always hit for me. I think back to Damn, some of the more sweet tracks on there with the nasally melodic voice didn't really hit for me all that much. Loyalty is an example that comes to my mind personally, but something about this one was just perfect, and I think it was that harmony between SZA and Kendrick and just how well they worked together, mixed with how beautiful that production was. Let's see where we go on to track number 4 here, Man at the Garden. Steady build up.
I deserve it all. Like minds and less enemies.
A little bit of a rich spirit vibe.
Waking up at 6 a.m., 6 miles a day, conditioning my win. I said I deserve it all. I never asked for too much credit, seeking validation just for the aesthetics. Bitch, I deserve it all. Bitch, I deserve it all.
It's a nice one. It's a nice one.
Put a smile on my mama. Good health and good karma, yeah, she deserves it all. I did it with integrity and niggas still try hate on me. Just wait and see, more blood be spilling, it's just paint to me. How annoying does it angers me to know the lambs can speak on the origins of the game I breed. Tell me why you think you deserve the greatest of all time, motherfucker.
Ooh, okay. Build up of that one pulled it around for me. So it is the first one here that I wouldn't put down on my favorites list, but that's just because I'm not going to be putting every track on the favorites list. I still think this was pretty damn good. This one had a more steady build up, a more repetitive structure to it, if you will, with Kendrick saying a couple lines and then saying, I deserve it all. And that's pretty much how it continued for the first verse and the second verse. But in the third verse, the concept, you know, sort of took a slight evolution, and then he picked up the flow for the last part of the third verse a little bit more intense. The vocals started getting more layered. It sounded really, really nice. It's one that I wouldn't put down on my favorites, just because the first 3 were a little bit more exciting, but this will be nice as a more steady listen from the album, and I think the structure of it was very effective. So let's see where we go on track number 5, Hey Now.
I like it.
Mustard is a producer on this, apparently.
Big face Buddha, get my peace from within. Send the case to all my dirties in a pen. We got the same 24, what you mad for? I put a square on his back like I'm Jack Dorsey. Hey now, say now. Hey now, say now.
A little bit of a weird banger on this one.
What the fuck you wearing, bro? It's tacky. Niggas laying on their deathbed trying to match me. To Ben Frank murderer. So I ain't heard of ya. Golf strings back to back flying through the turbulence.
Ooh, where'd that come from?
I just ran away if I smell nervousness. Hey now, say now. Hey now, say now.
I'm way too important to ever let you slide on me again.
Stop the fuck I feel like Joker. Harley Quinn up in the cut with a blower.
That wasn't Kendrick. Dodie 6 apparently.
I'm aggressive on the beat and real life, niggas know.
Okay, so we got a feature here from Dodie 6, who I am not familiar with, but I would assume that's a West Coast artist right there. According to the Genius comments, somebody was saying that that was a Jack Harlow feature. at first. You know the feature said the N-word, right? Hey Now was one that I enjoyed. At the start, I wasn't fully into it. Again, it was a little bit more toned down, a little bit stripped back, but the more that it went on, the more extra elements started being added into the production. You had these West Coast style of synths that came in and just made the beat feel so much more full and lively. You had the great last chorus that Kendrick had on here where he was harmonizing a little bit more, layering up the vocals. Yeah, I mean, this was great. If I'm comparing it to his last release, Mr. Morale, which I haven't talked about on my channel much because I'm still trying to really figure out and pin down my feelings on it. Mr. Morale was a tricky album, a very personal one, a very revealing one, and again, one that I maybe find a little bit of a difficult listen sometimes, but I respect the work that went into it. If you ever like watched a very critically acclaimed movie and you can acknowledge that it's extremely well made, you can see why it's acclaimed, but you personally just can't get into it all that much, and you know, you feel that little bit of disappointment, like, man, I wish I liked this as much as everybody does. That's how I feel about Mr. Morale. Whereas this, I think it's so accessible, immediately fun and entertaining. So let's get into the halfway point of the album, track number 6, Reincarnated. Bringing back this the sort of Spanish section that was on the intro. Hey yo, I remember you was conflicted, but in Spanish? Ooh, who did the pianos here?
Every day a new version of me, a third of me demented, cemented in pain. Truth be told, I've been battling myself, trying to navigate the real and fake.
Hold on. Okay, so this is called Reincarnated, right? And who does he sound like on here? This sounds like Tupac.
Take it back to Michigan in 1947. My father kicked me out the house because I wouldn't listen to him. I was head of rhythm and blues. The women that fell to their feet, so many to choose. As I lied to the masses,
hold on.
Was too attractive. Reincarnated.
Okay, the whole reincarnated thing, I think in terms of the concept, this is him talking about basically what he envisions to be the different lives he had before this one as Kendrick, right? And seeing the different ways that he's, so to speak, been reincarnated. I think that's what this is going for, but I'll need to see how it evolves.
Another life, it placed me as a black woman in the chitlin circuit. Had everything I wanted, but I couldn't escape addiction. Heroin needles had me in fetal positions. I needed drugs. To me, an 8-ball was like penicillin. Fuck love. My daddy looked the other way. He saw sin in me. I died with syringes pinched in me. Reincarnated. My present life is Kendrick LAMAR, a rapper looking at the lyrics to keep you in awe. My father kicked me out the house. I finally forgive him. I'm old enough to understand the way I was living. Son, you do well, but your heart is closed. I can tell residue that linger from your past creates itself. Trying to push peace in LA, but you love war. No, I don't. Oh, yes, you do. Okay, then tell me the truth. You fell out of heaven because you was anxious. Didn't like authority, only searched to be heinous. I have a one in front you was love and approval. I learned a lot, no more putting these people in fear. Let's rejoice where we at. I rewrote the devil's story just to take our power back. Incarnated.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Basically played around with that story of, you know, Satan being an angel that was cast out from heaven, and Kendrick kind of put himself in this role, having a conversation with God, and then he finished it up saying, I rewrote the devil's story just to take our power back. I really loved where this went, and I feel like this is one of the ones on the album you could probably dive into the most and break down the most. There's probably a few references in here that I didn't even really get on the first listen, but I thought this was amazing. Lovely production. I loved the pianos on the instrumental right here. From what I could tell, the first 2 verses were him rapping as different people in each of them, basically talking about who he envisioned himself as being in past lives. At least that's the impression that I got from it. Both of them being gifted at music, but having their flaws. Again, I think, I'm not 100% sure. I need to keep listening for the concept to fully iron itself out for me. What a great track. I'm going to put that down on my favorites list. I don't want to sit here for too long, like, you know, analyzing each track and really diving into the lyrics. That's what repeated listens are for. This first one is just feeling out everything, seeing how everything sounds, and right now, let's just say my impressions are extremely positive. So, track number 7 on the album, moving into the second half. This is called TV Off.
Give them what they asked for. It's not enough. Few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. I made them niggas mad. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I take the G-pad. Yeah, watch a nigga do it.
This is what I'm talking about when I say it feels like Not Like Us is one of the tracks that feels like it had the biggest influence over this album. This is just straight up West Coast. It's got the same kind of bounce to it and intensity to it as that track. Oh, this is great.
Hey, what? How many shit I seen? Seen them all. Take a risk or take a trip. You know I'm tripping for my dog. Couple sergeants and lieutenants for the get back. This revolution been televised. Feel like he entitled cause he knew me since a kid. Bitch, I cut my granny off and she don't see it how I see it. Got a big mouth.
Oh! Oh my god. What are the odds that that becomes a new producer tag for Mustard? We'll see.
Crash pulling up in a marked truck just to play freeze tag with a boner pick like it was sea bass. With the etiquette of LA yelling.
Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, crazy, scary.
I almost feel out of breath after listening to that, man. That was incredible. TV Off is another favorite. This one to me felt like a little bit of a spiritual successor to Not Like Us. It was just another pure West Coast energetic banger with production from Mustard once again, and even some of the flows and just the way Kendrick was delivering his lyrics felt like that song. Has this been the most high profile year for Mustard since like those summers in 2014, 2015 when he had hits all over the radio produced by him? Yeah, TV Off was great. So let's get on to track number 8, Dodger Blue. Ooh. Got that juicy bass going.
How you ever took a fade and ran 3 more back to back? Oh, you haven't? Then shut the fuck up and keep it rapping.
So fly in this bitch. 50 on me, don't die trying and shit.
Who's on the hook here?
I walk in, though, yeah, break neck. It's unanimous, high pop shit.
Don't take it personal. You won't be the first. Just might be the first to go. Just might be.
Dodger Blue was solid. Probably my least preferred track on the album so far, but not bad by any means. Just pretty short. It's Kendrick going in his more smooth bag here with the nasally melodic flow. On this one, it didn't click for me as much. Like I said, nasally melodic Kendrick sometimes doesn't hit as much for me. So let's get on to track number 9 right here, Peekaboo.
Aye. What?
What?
What they talking about? They ain't talking about nothing. What they talking about? They talking about nothing. Huh? Nothing. What they talking about? They talking about nothing. Huh?
Okay. Funny idea for the chorus, but it works.
762s will make them plain. Peekaboo, popping out, you better not smell my name. Peekaboo.
Surprise, bitch, it's that nigga chicken cheese. Peekaboo. Let me FaceTime my op, bitch, I'm up the street.
Oh, it's AZ Chake, who was on School by Q's album this year.
Hey, 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 ain't the one to play with. Hey, 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 hey. Pull off in a lamb, dog. Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. The type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand.
Heard what happened to your mans, not sorry for your loss. Should've prayed before them shooters came and nailed to the cross.
What they talking about?
They talking about nothing.
What they talking about?
They talking about nothing.
Okay, Peekaboo was decent. I'm not too mad at a couple tracks that I'm not feeling as much on here because it was still relatively fun. Repetitive verses from Kendrick, just these sort of like goofy flows on this one. It was perfectly fine. It's just the least exciting to me out of the West Coast bangers, and AZ Chike was solid. You know, I think AZ Chike's decent. The next one I am very curious to hear though, because of the title. This is track number 10, Heart Part 6. I have no clue what direction this is going to go in, but I'm very interested to see. Ooh. Very smooth with it.
Load up the Pro Tools and press 3. Studio filled with Jack in the Box and Pepsi. Absol in the corner, mumbling raps, fumbling packs of Blackie Mouse. That was back when the only goal was to
Bit of a flashback then, yeah.
Warner Brother Records, me and Rock inside the booth hibernating. If he made it, that mean I made it. No one above us. Bless our hearts.
Nice. I like where this is going.
My nigga Dave had a champagne Acura, a bunch of instrumentals I freestyled in the passenger.
Of course, talking about Dave Free here, not the father of Kendrick's children.
Q said, Dot, you won't be slept on, you the nigga to bet on.
Yeah, it's like a TDE retrospective. That's the way to describe it. Lovely direction to take it in.
Time flies, some carrying debates of a top 5, burying my ops and allies. I guess my motivation was the yearning for independence. Now it's about Kendrick. I wanna evolve, place my skill set as a black exec. To how my young niggas let me be the demonstration. How to conduct differences with a healthy conversation. Hand to hand shake is good when you have a heart to heart.
A heart to heart. Yeah, that was great. We got the real Heart Part 6, ladies and gentlemen. That's another one down for the favorites list. I don't know if people were expecting this to be a response to Drake or anything like that, because of course one of Drake's disses was the Heart Part 6, but I'm very happy that it wasn't. I don't think it needs to be that. Whereas this, I think, was pretty great in the direction that it went. Like I said, this was basically a TDE retrospective, looking back at the label, how it came to be, all the people that were involved, Kendrick basically viewing them all as his family, and then took it to the third verse where he talks about going independent. He's saying that they can talk it out as family and discuss, you know, where things are going and still appreciate the history that they have together. It sounded absolutely luscious once again. So let's see where we go on the second last track on this album, man. It's been a great experience so far. This is track number 11, the title track of the album, GNX. Oh. What a weird beat on this one.
Tell him Kendrick did it. Hey, I'm tripping and I'm loving it. Tell him Kendrick did it.
Hey, on the dead ones. We're treated in the mingle like some breadcrumbs.
Okay, this is apparently Peso.
Murder man, singing murder music off a murder van.
The West back in front of shit.
Tell him Peso did it.
This is a weird ass song, man. Okay, this one is Hit a J3.
I know killers who was catching bodies in our one fade. 25, feeling like the box, it was full of sand. At the cemetery, fucked up, that's where I could have been. True to my religion, Cuban links more than 2 chains.
Get on my Bob, build shit, get down with the plier, been coming back to back.
This is Young Threat, apparently.
When it's wartime, they hiding in the cut. DOA up on the scene, tell them Young Threat did it, nigga.
Okay, GNX, I'll be honest, it was my least favorite track on the album so far. The production just threw me off a little bit on this one, with its, maybe you could say unconventional rhythm or unconventional sound to it. And it was also very minimal in terms of Kendrick Lamar, who is the guy I'm listening to the album for, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with putting on these 3 West Coast features. That is a cool thing to do. It's just, I'm going to be listening to it the least because I'm mainly here for Kendrick. I know, I'm sorry. But to be fair to the features, I think Hit a J3 was probably the best on here for me. I liked his flow switches, I liked the slightly more melodic bit he had going on, and the last bar was pretty fun with True to My Religion, Cuban links, more than 2 chains. Young Threat came in with some Bob the Builder bars. Peso was decent. So with that being said, let's see what we get on track number 12. This is the closing song on GNX. This one is called Gloria. Closing out with the sort of Spanish intro. I'll be curious to translate that and see what's being said there.
Got a complicated relationship. She's so controlling, I notice it ain't no playing with her. Some niggas wanted you, but they weren't committed. Preoccupied playing John Madden and bullshit. No territorial heaving took me away from my friends.
Scared of forever, you know.
She's back.
Said you go see other people if I didn't grow with you. Plus I had to wrap it up. I didn't fully trust you. Fabrication had discussion.
I bring the blessings. I gave you power. Nigga, I bring the rainfall. I gave you hustle.
But when you caught that body and still wiggle through that sentence, I know your favorite movie is it Notebook. So good if they all sub me.
This isn't about Whitney, is it? I was thinking there were certain parts where I'm just like, this doesn't sound quite right. It doesn't sound like it is about the relationship between Kendrick and his now fiancée. There's a twist coming. Extended metaphor, please.
Ain't no bitch like my bitch, cause that bitch been my pen.
Gloria.
Here we go. It's about the pen. Recontextualizes the whole thing. I think a lot of people will have that initial reaction where they start off the song and they think, oh, this is a love song about Whitney. This is actually one of those extended metaphor rap songs that's about Kendrick's writing. It's basically a love song to his pen. That makes a lot of sense because during the second verse, I was like, huh, there's stuff here that just doesn't quite seem to make sense to me if it's talking about his actual relationship with his fiancée. And then You realize why in the last verse. And I love a good extended metaphor track, so this is one of my favorites on the album. Not only was it another great Kendrick and SZA collab where they both sounded amazing on here, but I just love it from a writing perspective too. I think some of the lines that made me think, this is a little bit weird, is when he said stuff like, "We was locked in ever since then, so territorial, even took me away from my friends." I was like, that doesn't sound like the most stable love story right here, but now with the perspective of it being about his writing, makes complete sense. So that was the last track on GNX by Kendrick Lamar. So let me give some initial thoughts on this album. I think this was great. This is a very late contender for my top 10 best albums of the year list. I basically had my list for that video finalized, but this is going to shake things up a little bit. You could argue in some ways that this isn't necessarily as conceptual as an album like Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, or Mr. Morale. You know, I think that is the case, but I don't think it's an issue. There still are some general running themes throughout this, and I think it's the perfect album for where Kendrick is at the moment, which is why I'm not disappointed by the fact that it doesn't feel as tightly woven and conceptual as his previous albums. It's something that does feel a bit more mixtapey, but still with very strong writing and relatively solid theming. In terms of an initial listen rating, really hard to give one, but it's going to be very positive, right? I'm sitting somewhere in the 8th region with this. We got a great variety on here. There was a lot of West Coast bangers, a huge West Coast influence to this album with the features, the production. If we're talking about favorites and least favorites on this album, my favorites on here were Whacked Out Murals, Squabble Up, Luther, Reincarnated, TV Off, Heart Part 6, and Gloria. We got over half the album on the favorites list, always a good sign, and my only least favorite on the album was GNX. But overall, I'm extremely happy with what we got. I think it's also majorly helped by the fact that this was the definition of a surprise drop. I didn't know this was coming. No one else really knew that this was coming. It just dropped and it's out there. We get to listen to it and just take it for what it is with no expectations. We'll see how it stands the test of time and how it sounds, you know, a year or 2 years from now, but that is the future's problem. For now, I think it's extremely fun, and one of my favorite albums that I've heard this year, a great moment, and just a great album to listen to. So I might as well wrap this up now because I'm really excited to get this out there to you guys. What did you think of GNX by Kendrick Lamar? Let me know in those comments down below. I stopped working on Poorly Aged Rap Lyrics 9 to make this, alright? That video is still coming soon, but this takes precedence. Thank you for watching. You can click on the screen right there to check out the last album reaction on this channel, and much love to my channel members and Patreon supporters over there, with a special shout out to I Am Region, KWG13270, Lucas1123, and Neo Striker.